Yeah, that take flight is absolutely nuts. Stay tuned to see what we're using. Hey, it's Dan, and welcome back to Unified Gaming. Now in this one we're going to break down Take Flight. This is all about pushing, just high max stats and having really good bulk at the same time. And to do this, I've min-maxed it for my playstyle, so you copy it, try it yourself. It works well for me, and I'm giving you some tips and tricks along the way. And before we jump in, I just want to say a huge thanks to our Patreons. Like, your support lets me make these videos. And if you want to support myself, get the access to videos early, support for myself and that stuff, then do consider donating as little or as much as you can. There's a link in the description. And with introductions out of the way, let's just get into it. For the build, we are a Nord on this. Nord gives us health, cold resistance and immunity to shield. It gives us max stam and ult generation, which being a Dragon Knight means we can convert it into resources, so that's very powerful. And the big one is the rugged passive. Having extra armor here means we can just get away with kind of less armor on the build, because this just gives us more flexibility. So this is a really, really good race to pick. Probably one of the best, if not the best. A good alternative is something like an Orc and just change your Mundustone, but Nord for me is kind of taking the sort of top tier here. It's just so good. As for kind of sort of stats, we have 64 points in stamina. We're a Stamina Dragonknight, so no changes there, no surprises. Our magical pool is on 11.5k. We have 31.2k health and 35k stam. Our weapon damage is 2.8k unbuffed. When we buff up with Rally and with our weapon glyph, we're on like 5.5k roughly with our sets active and stuff. So we go up really high weapon damage and we keep it up for a long time. With continuous, it's nearly 6k, which is just really high. And our stamina recovery is 1900 at base. With Rally, it's 2.2k, and with the potion as well, it's like 2.5k. So we have plenty of sustain. And the resistances, they're pretty tasty too. We have 18k spell, 15k physical, with our armor buff there's 23 and 20k, but what makes this special is we are a vampire on this build. Being a vampire stage 3 gives us access to this passive down here in the vampire skill line. It's called Undeath, and this is like having Markarth the Pariah, which is one of the best defensive sets in the game on your build, so this is incredibly useful. If you build a DK, you either go with high health regen or you go with vampire stage 3 and then just loads of max stats, and that's what we've done for this build here. For the Mundustone and stuff, we are using the Serpent for extra regen. It had a massive buff, so we might as well just take advantage of that and just push our weapon damage through glyphs and other sources. We're using Pack Leader Broth for just more max stam, max health, so this is a really good just gold food to get. This is a drink, just so you're aware, this is considered a drink. But that's kind of the food and stats. As with the gear, as we said, is Pack Leader for the consumables. Potion wise, I would recommend using tri-stat potions on this build. We kind of need all three resources. But Essence of Immovability is also really good. You could use just random potions like here, or you can just use crown potions down here. It's kind of up to you, but tri-stat works best for me, so that's what I would encourage as well. I'm now going to go through the skills and kind of go through what we're using, so do pay close attention and leave some tips and tricks as well. On the front bar, it's a very generic setup. It's Dizzying Swing, Executioner, Camo Hunter for the minor berserk, Noxious Breath for a crazy dot and really good just hard hitting ability, so really good. We have Rally for just weapon damage and also a burst steal. We have Take Flight, which this goes up to nearly 30k fully buffed, which is huge. As you can see in the gameplay, this hits really hard consistently, and it's dirt cheap. On the back bar, we have Volatile Armor, armor buff basically, Vigor, Shuffle, Fragmented Shield, which gives us Major Mending for 6 seconds, which is huge. We then have Feminist Claw, which is like one of the best dots in the game, so this is incredibly powerful. And I use Take Flight on this bar, but this can be changed to Temporal Guard if you have it. Another good one is go to Magna Armor and get Corrosive Armor. That's an incredibly good one too. I'm just a bit low on skill points and passive wise, as you'll see in a moment. Passive wise, it's general stuff. Get kind of all the passives you can really. I don't normally go through those. Just one I will mention though, in the Fighters Guild, Slayer is actually quite useful, and so is Banish the Wicked, because we get ult gem, and the ult gem is resources, so that's a nice one to have. One thing people miss often is in the craft, they don't get their medicinal use passes, which I don't have in this build here. I will be doing this very soon, but do get your alchemy up if you can. It just really, really helps. There is a guide on the channel already. We're now going to go through the gear and stuff. And if you are liking this video and you want to see more from us, then make sure that you are subscribed. There's many of you that are still not. Gear wise, we're using Clever Alchemist. This has a Berserk Glyph and it's Nirnhound. What this does is gives you basically loads of damage when you use a potion. I found from testing this and just things like Torag's Pact, Starn's Favour, all those kind of just really equivalent damage that's New Moon, for example. This just gave us the most useful stats with the health. That's incredibly helpful. And just having the big boy damage when we need it is incredibly useful too. To make this easier to use and for more burst, which is how I like it, I also use a bow on the back bar and use double dot poisons. What's nice about this is that we can basically light attack, and just spam light attacks until the poisons proc. We can then hit them with claw, not just breath. We then have 4 dots on them, which means we can then just basically wow into them, dizzy and swing, leap and kill them really quick. So I would definitely recommend having the poisons in the back bar. Another reason for the bow, which if you go down to the bow skill line, there's a passive called Hasty Retreat. When you roll dodge, you get Major Expedition. I need to level it once more, but it's basically Major Expedition for 4 seconds after roll dodge. DK has issues with movement speed, so this is a really good way to fix it. And because we're a vampire stage 3, we have the bulk anyway because of that. We just need a bit more max health, which is why Clever Alch is so good on this build. Monster set wise, we're using Bloodspawn. It's a no-brainer. Armor, Alt-Gen's resources, damage, it does everything for a DK, so this is like the best set you can get for this kind of playstyle. Balorg is more burst, more damage for sure, but I personally would recommend Bloodspawn for ease of play. Try starting the big pieces like normal, so head, chest and legs. If you don't have it on the legs, don't panic, it does help. I've gone with Impen on most of it, and I have a few pieces of well-fitted, just one, so as you get more and more mobile, more and more practice, add more and more well-fitted. Just note that you will take more damage from critical hits. I'd recommend having at least 5 Impen and 2 well-fitted as kind of the most, maybe 3 if you're really pushing it, but any more than that, you start to you just take too much critical damage. And then jewelry wise, I have infused, and infused. It's weapon damage, and stamina recovery. And you're probably thinking you have a lot of stam regen on this build. The way in which I play DKs, I don't want to be reliant on heavy attacks. It's a slow class anyway, so I like to have a bit more sustain than I need, which is why I have extra regen on my glyphs. You could change this for weapon damage and have even more damage, but you have to heavy attack a bit more. As for kind of loadout, Clever Alch can be anywhere in all honesty, as can Bone Pirate, as long as you have 5 Bone Pirate active, 5 Clever Alch active at all times. I did try back bar and Clever Alch, and although you get access to a special weapon on the front bar like the Asylum 2H, you lose that 126 weapon and spell damage on the 4-piece, so it wasn't really worth it. I also find as well that actually just having it on both bars, whenever you use a potion you get the buff, so it's just easier to use in all honesty, so yeah. The last thing I will say about the armour is that you want to be medium armour, so you want 5 medium, 2 heavy. That personally is kind of the best setup. You could go with 5-1-1, 5 medium, 1 heavy, 1 light, which I've done here, if you have your Undaunted passives, but it's not essential. But that's the gear. It's not revolutionary, but this works incredibly effectively if played right. And as for the champion points, this is what works for me, so feel free to pause it, rewind it, all that good stuff. And if you do like these videos, then do make sure you are liking. It really, really helps. And as I said, if you want to see us live and see what do we actually do, then jump into our Twitch. We stream every weekend. But that there, guys, is the CP. So feel free to go back and watch it if you've missed it. And then in the last kind of part of my videos is kind of tips and tricks and things of you can do to play the build better. I'm actually going to pause here and just refer you to another video. If you are subscribed, you'll see it in a couple of days. It's basically, how do you play the Stamina Dragonknight? It's kind of my take on it. Kind of what am I thinking, the good, the bad, kind of what did I do well, what did I do bad? So you can really learn about it and learn how to play the class properly and do much, much better. I have to say, from playing the class for about 3 weeks now, it's clunky at first, but if you use the dots correctly, it's probably one of the better stam classes about. and with the changes coming in Markarth to healing, this is actually going to get a buff to healing, so this will be much better in Markarth. So there's lots of reasons to get your Stam DK ready for the next patch. But with that out of the way, I'm just going to wrap this video up here, guys. So I'm going to say a massive thank you for those who stayed this long and tuned in. It really is appreciated. And if you like what we do, then like, comment, share, subscribe, and consider supporting us on Patreon if you can. And I'll catch you in the next video. So take care, guys. Thanks for watching, and bye.